this could sound like a bit of a car crash, just because it's the first time I've read it publicly, which is fine in itself. But the book is slightly dialectal, not a lot, but enough that I was trying to read it today in my own voice, and it just didn't, in my own accent. It just didn't sound. It just sounds all wrong. And so, my plan is to read it in something approaching the dialect, which is Glaswegian, which is what I'm going to try and do now. But I think nearer the publication, I say this to you, actually I'm just having a conversation with Joe, but nearer the time, Joe, I'm going to have a few sessions with a voice coach who I worked with actually when I was doing the early drafts, to get a kind of sense of the flow and the rhythm of the language, and she will make me good, I think. So at the moment, it's a bit, it just doesn't, oh well, you'll see, but as my wife said when I read it to her this afternoon, you just sound like Andy Murray, which isn't good. The book, I'll read from an early chapter. The book is about an ex-shipyard worker on the Clyde whose wife dies, which is how the book begins. And as the book progresses, you begin to realise that his wife died from something related to the main character, Mick, working on the shipyards. And so the book is about industry, and it's about guilt, and it's about I suppose it's quite a lot about what happens to a community, what's the impact on a community when the industry upon which that is pivoted dies or is killed, which actually feels quite pertinent today, given the budget's just been done. Right. In my head, I'm saying my little line in Scottish, in Glaswegian, which helps me get into it, which is I cannae cure a goose the night, which means I can't cook a goose tonight. Okay. The Maltese stands solid in a row like a picket line, looking down over the red tenement streets filing toward the Clyde. From up on the 17th storey, the view's a beauty. You can see the glimmering glass roof of the Botanical Gardens north of the river, Kelvin Grove Park, the exhibition centre Silver Armadillo, and further on, the skyline of the Campsie Fells, keeping the city in. Joe doesn't much look out on these things though. If he's looking out, it'll be at Ibrox. The ground's a few minutes' walk from the multi-just. On match days, he can see the supporters coming in from all around, crowds growing on the pavements outside the pubs, pouring in through the streets. This morning, but he's having a see out the window as the sun comes up, watching the dismal light peter in through the streets that run straight lines toward the river, bending only where they have to go around the stadium, or broken where they've took out the tenements and no got round to replacing them. By the river, there's the twinkling new apartment blocks at Glasgow Harbour, the dry ski centre, and down the water, the shipyards, what's left of them. Govan, this near side, Scottstown, across the water. From where he is, he can just make out the top of HMS Defender, sat at her berth at Govan. She looks from up here like an Airfix model, with her miniature gun and helicopter pad on the flight deck. That's where Joe is headed, the light nearly up now, and him away out the flat, clicking shut the front door to go pick up Suggy. It is 6 o'clock. There's never anybody about in the building now, except for one queer old ticket he sees on the stairs sometimes, who gets up to give his dog a walk. It isn't so bad, this time in the morning. He's tired, but it's fine. The back shift is the one that kills him. He presses the button and the lift doors are straight open. They cleaned it out a week or two ago, so it's no bogging like it was, but it's been wrote on already. Cunt, one wall says, nice and simple. He gets out on the 9th floor and goes towards Suggy's. He chaps on the door. There's a light on underneath, a good sign. He's tired enough himself the morning, but he's pure sparkling compared to Suggy. There's times he'll be banging 5 minutes before there's any answer, and a couple of mornings he's resorted to giving it a wee clang with the fire extinguisher off the wall fixing. The door's looked better in truth. Today though, Suggy opens it on the second knock. He's in his pants still, but he's up. Come in, mate. Joe follows him in and sits on the settee while Suggy goes in to the bedroom to get dressed. The television is on, and he looks at it without paying much attention. There's a fair number of empty cans about, on the table, over the floor. Suggy must have had some mates round. Nevertheless, he's dressed quick enough, appearing at the bedroom door in a couple of minutes, red eyes, grinning, his yellow helmet in his hand. Right, we off, well. Once onto the street, the two apprentices get making their way briskly through the crisp cool morning toward the yard. They go over Saturday's match again, a couple of times, but most of the way they walk without talking. The roads are near deserted. A few cars. The old boy from their block, coming back with his dog. They give him a nod. Wasn't always like this, course. Their fathers and their grandfathers have shown them enough photographs. Photographs there's plenty of in the grand crumbling library they're walking past now, how it used to be. These same streets 100 years ago, 60, 40 even, mobbed with hundreds of workers starting out for the day shift. Tired and quiet, like this pair, getting moving. The noise of boots on the road. The hooter about to sound up the way and signal the start of work. The occasional wife in a tenement window in a nightdress, watching her man off, and him finding his way into his own team, grouping up as they move on. Riveters, caulkers, blacksmiths, the welders clear visible in their spotted hats and their leathers, boilermakers, platers, the whole black squad marching on up the road. And at the back, the apprentices pushing about. A different story than now. I'll stop there actually, it feels like a convenient point to stop. Thanks.